You're in the rant hole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by becoming one of those. This one is for Emma Frankenstein, who says, "Thanks for doing this, Digi. Very fun. One of my favorite videos of yours is The Purpose of Anime, or How to Analyze Anything. In it, you talk a lot about flawed governing systems humans implement based on misunderstandings of human nature. What do you think is the best way humans can govern themselves? Unbridled capitalism? The Nordic model? Welfare capitalism? Anarchy? Communism? Strap ourselves into VR simulations a la The Matrix? Curious to hear your thoughts on this. Edit. I guess this is just me asking for your political leanings, haha. If you've already talked about that, I can suggest another topic. I don't know if I have. But I also don't really particularly have what I would call political leanings. I tend to ignore most of the political sphere, most of the dialogue around politics, because it's annoying, and because so many things that people talk about, when they talk about systems in that broad sense, like capitalism, it's really contextual. It's like where you are, who you are, what other systems are surrounding these systems. All of that matters. You have to look at the complete picture. You can't ever just paint it as just, oh, this is capitalism. Well, that can be a lot of different things, you know? I mean, you just said yourself about the Nordic model of welfare capitalism. Like, that's another form. So, like, there's all these different types. I don't think anything we're doing right now is ideal. If it was, there would be no problems, obviously. But the ideal way to govern, I think, God, it really comes down, like, if we're talking about what is the way to make humans live the longest, happiest lives that they can until they inevitably die, then I would say that creating some kind of more controlled system would be the best way to do that. Like, we're talking about, you know, like the Sybil system from Psychopaths, where, like, as evil as it is and as misguided as it is in representing the actual, like, spirit of the law, the point of that system is to create a world with as little conflict as possible, to have it so people are generally satisfied, are generally, like, you know, stress-free, and don't have to deal with, you know, anything beyond that. But when you have a system like that, the question becomes, what is the end game of this system? Is it just for humanity to ride out until we die? Is that inevitable? Is there any avoiding that? We don't know the answer to these questions. What we do know is that there are possibilities that we could escape this Earth, at the very least. Perhaps this universe, if we ever understood how. Perhaps this whole fucking dimension. You know, or, you know, you can't really escape the dimension, but, you know, access a higher one in some kind of way. I don't really know what that means. None of us do. But the point is that if humanity does just continue on without trying to escape in any way, we're just going to die eventually. Like, the sun's going to die out, we'll ruin the planet, the universe itself will experience heat death eventually. We will not survive as a species. So, is our purpose simply to live out the best lives we can while we're here? Well, on some level we do want to do that, because if we burn too hard and burn the candle at both ends, so to speak, where we're gonna ruin it for everybody. We gotta take our time. You know, we gotta slowly move towards whatever this goal is and keep ourselves alive in the process. But if we're trying to innovate and evolve and come up with new ideas and new understandings and eventually perhaps find a way to escape, we need as much original thought as possible. We need people who are constantly being tasked to come up with new shit, to constantly reinvent the world around them, to rethink what they have at their disposal, rethink what is possible. And in order to do that, you need a system of free expression. You need people to be able to explore every conceivable possibility and to come to whatever conclusions they may, and to be able to act on things that they think could bring us closer to whatever we're trying to reach, in whatever field that may be. And so I tend to lean on the side of pretty hardcore libertarianism if I had to give it a name. I don't agree with the Libertarian Party. I don't give a fuck about them. I'm just saying that, like, the political ideology of absolute freedom, bordering on anarchy. And the only reason, like, anarchy would be ideal, except for the fact that people are not going to do it. Like, they're not going to do it right, Like, ideally, everybody would be able to just do whatever they want as long as it doesn't hurt the next guy. And the only reason that we really need a government is to make sure that people aren't hurting the next guy. That whatever you're trying to do doesn't come at someone else's expense. That you are able to find a way to move forward because other people will themselves have other ideas, other things that need to be explored. And we need as many of these ideas as possible, as much information, as much as we can feed into the human noosphere, so to speak. So, as long as we're trying to expand the noosphere, we need more ideas, more perspectives, more people. But can we take care of all these people that we have here on this godforsaken planet? Potentially, yes. But does it necessarily... I don't think it should come through something like, say, welfare, which is somewhat of a short-term solution to the problem of, like, if you're just giving people, say, just giving them money to live, then you're not teaching them how to live without needing that. And that's what people need the most. People need education more than anything. I think the number one problem that faces America in particular is our education system is fucking garbage. And it's entirely built around training people to do menial labor, which is not going to be a thing in the future. We built this whole system during the era of the factory, during the Industrial Revolution, and we built all of our school systems around this industrial attitude of basically standardized learning, getting as many people to learn as much of the same shit as possible. And that doesn't work in a more specialized future where a lot of those broad general jobs are now being automated, where fewer people are needed in the workforce, more people are needed to generate new unique ideas. Like, that's what people can do for the species. Because if you think about it in the terms of, like, just propagating life as best we can, or not propagating, but just like living as best we can. Like, if I were to just fix everything in a go, like, we'd have to just, like let's say this is just, this is not political in any way. This is just, like, how to fix it. Just, like, kill half the fucking people and, restructure society in a way that makes sense with who you have left. Like, you'd have to figure out, like, mathematically, if we want to survive, like, what is the ideal number of people? Where are the ideal places to put those people? Again, we're talking about an extreme authoritarian society. But if we're talking about how do we continue to live on, but while aspiring to always have new ideas and always be, trying to get to something further away, then we want the opposite. We don't want to kill anybody. We want more ideas. We want more splintering. We want more chaos, more fucking possibilities, more, node points of data to study and add to the grand consciousness, so to speak. And so I think that, a level of freedom, like a high level of freedom, is absolutely necessary to this process. People do not have ideas when they're being controlled. People don't, they don't innovate when they're being told what to think. And when, for instance, to quote Homesteading the Noosphere, which Log Horizon was largely based off of, he said, like, take care of people's basic needs and give them their heads, and they will just go out and create. Now, you could look at this as a call for welfare, because if you're just giving people, if you're taking care of their basic needs and just letting them do whatever they want, then yeah, a lot of people, a lot of creative people will live way better in that world. However, we will also have the problem of a lot of uneducated people who, are... Well, I guess there's not even really... I don't know if I have a huge problem with that. I don't know if I have a problem with a bunch of people who aren't really contributing anything, just living and being around, because, like, again, we don't know what they might bring to the table. So, I think just all around raising the level of critical thought of humanity, raising the level of understanding of who we are and what we're trying to do and how society actually works. Like, I just really think the stuff that we focus on in school is not the stuff that's really important. You know, like, we focus on stuff that will make you a good worker, that will make you successful in the workplace. And as that becomes less and less necessary, what we need is more thinkers, more innovators, more people with new ideas, more people leading us into the future. And it's not about intelligence. It's not about how smart you are. It's about what you're thinking about. It's about, you know, what you've been told to consider, how you are being asked to live your life. And so I think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that ideally we'd have a system that's kind of like America, except that there is less focus on trying to guide all of the population into like a very standardized idea of who they should be, in spite of the fact that our whole country is about individualism. And instead focus on individualism. Instead, like, educate people from the ground up with the idea and the sense that they are their own person who has to have their own ideas. This might be more high-minded than what we were hoping for here. Like, I don't know how to put this in a way that's, like, snappy and you get it. Like, I have a book called Fixed That For You that I released to patrons some time back. I didn't finish editing it, which is why it hasn't seen a full release, but it's basically about what I would do to fix the systems and like what I think are the problems and what I think are the solutions. So hopefully I'll eventually get that fucking thing finished and release it, and then you'll all know my political stance, I guess.